Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 2025 DKU Bound session on academics and studying abroad at Kunshan University. I know our panelists are really happy to have you joining us here today and are very excited to share about their portion and their contributions to DKU. So, our panelists, I'd love to quickly introduce. We have Christopher Van Velzer, we also have Marco Valadez, and we also have Lingling Wang, who will be joining us and speaking today. So I will briefly turn things over to Christopher, but just wanted to say from International Enrollment, we are very excited to see you here today. We've been very, kind of jumping up and down, seeing all of the amazing interactions y'all have been having in the Discord channel, off the Discord channel, Instagram, at our events. And we are just so excited to see how the rest of the month plays out. So that is all for me. I will turn things over to Christopher to kick us off.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Allison, and to all of our class of 2029 students. We are so excited to get this chance to interact with you. I hope this information is helpful. And as we go along, just a quick reminder, you can always post questions in the chat function. We will answer those probably at the end together. And for those that may be watching this recorded, please feel free. You'll note that there's different email addresses and websites listed throughout. You can always contact us with questions as well. We are here to help get you information and most of all, give you some sneak peeks of things that are ahead for you at DKU. Um, Allison mentioned my name is Christopher Van Velzer. I am the Dean of Student Experience at DKU, and that essentially means I oversee most of the explicitly non-academic, non-classroom-based parts of non-academic life at the university. So things like residence life and where you live and athletics and study away, study abroad, which is why I'm giving this presentation. Chinese student services, international student services, counseling and wellness services, campus engagement, student activities, all of those types of things fall under student experience. Um, Tonight, though, we are just focused on study away, study abroad, and some of what your options look like at DKU. And I'll start by mentioning, studying abroad is how you'll often hear it framed. At DKU, we do reference that a little bit differently. We like to say study away because you don't necessarily have to be studying abroad to be accomplishing that same general thing. It can be domestically in China, for example, or it could be internationally. And then even so, it's a little bit unusual for all of you to say studying away because you're really doing it again as an international student. All of you are studying away just by coming to DKU, even though it's for a four-year degree. So this is studying away again, studying away once you've already been studying away. And before we jump into kind of information on different options that you have available to you, I really do want to encourage all of you, even now, before you started your college journey, um, the easiest question to ask, sort of the lowest common denominator question when you think about these types of experiences is just to think, well, where do I want to go? The world is such a big place. DKU in China is already an adventure, but where else would I want to go? Would it be Europe or South America or, somewhere on the African continent or somewhere else in Southeast Asia? And those are all valid questions, but we will really be focusing you on what we consider to be much more important and meaningful questions that you should be carefully considering when you envision where might you want to be studying away. And really that question or those questions come down to who do I want and who do I need to become through that experience? And maybe a longer version, what knowledge, what skills, what perspectives, what communities do you need to encounter firsthand in the world? Um, you have no idea what exciting broadening of every aspect of who you are and your life and your mind and your academic life, your personal life. Um, what is going to happen with your growth when you become a student at DKU? And part of the reason that you study away as a junior, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, is because we want you to have some time at DKU in the curriculum, taking classes, exploring these new ideas, so that you start to build up some rich areas of gaps in this question, so that you start to be able to articulate for yourself, I didn't even know when I came to DKU that I was going to get so excited about learning about this or wanting to do this with my life or career. You might have an idea of that already. It might change. But study away is really an opportunity to also say, if I had to choose not just where do I want to go, but what is it that I really want to learn from the experience, and what are places in this world where I can only learn that by being there with those people, gaining those experiences. Those are the questions that we really do want to focus you on. So who, what, and where? Who do I need to become? What knowledge, skills, and perspectives and communities do I need to encounter firsthand? And then the where is really just informed by those previous questions. Where would that be in the world? And we're here to help you figure that out. So the broad overview of study away options as a DKU student is that, as I just mentioned a little bit ago, you can study away for either a fall or a spring semester in your junior year. It needs to be in your junior year. You can also do additional study away in summers, starting after your first year. So once you've completed your first year, your fall semester, spring semester, any summer after that, and up until you graduate, you could also choose to do summer programs. You could choose to do only summer programs. You could choose to do only a fall or a spring semester in your junior year. All are possibilities. Generally speaking, applications begin early in the fall semester for spring programs and middle of the spring semester for the following fall semester programs. We don't have any hard restrictions by major or field of discipline. Um, you really are only limited by your answers to those questions. And of course, what you will piece together with probably some help from advising on what makes sense for you academically. You might have some specific academic needs or classes that you're really hoping to be able to do, or degree requirements that you want to complete while you're abroad or domestic. All of that's okay, but you don't need to worry. You won't need to answer those questions or worry too much about that in your first year. We do begin that advising in your first year so that we can help you anticipate. Essentially, the ideal is to arrive at your junior year with enough flexibility that you could do either fall or spring semester, and you don't necessarily need any particular classes that you would have to complete while studying away. That's not very difficult to do. It just takes a little bit of planning and foresight. Um, so that's where we try, or we hope most students land. And academics and classes, some of that changes and is informed by the type of program you're on or where you go, but that's what we'll be advising you towards. This is sort of the overview of what your actual options end up being then at DKU. And it really is a very comprehensive portfolio of choices for you. First, and to be perfectly frank, probably the most selected, most popular option for lots of good reasons is the DKU at Duke program. So that's actually choosing to study away at Duke University, or we'll talk about it, Duke Marine Lab for that semester of study away. You can also do, again, summer programs at Duke, and some students choose to do a semester in one place and a summer at Duke, or they might choose to do a semester and a summer at Duke. All are possibilities. We also have what are called exchange programs. Most importantly, with Wuhan University, which, as you probably know by now, is our other joint venture partner in mainland China. DKU is set up to be a very distinctly, it's a Sino, U.S. joint venture university, but it is, in terms of a campus environment and structure, in a lot of ways, very much a U.S. It's a U.S. higher ed experience located in China with Chinese characteristics, as we would say here, maybe. So if you wanted to have the experience of, I really want to know what it's like to study at a big, prestigious Chinese university, Wuhan is that Duke level university within mainland China, and would be a really wonderful complement also. Then we've essentially got two other variations on the same theme: DKU Go, or Global Opportunities Programs, and DKU Go Flex, which is Global Opportunities Flexible Learning Experiences. And we'll talk a little bit about what those mean in these upcoming slides. So first, let's talk about Duke University and the Duke Marine Lab. Duke University, as you probably know, is in Durham, North Carolina, and the Duke Marine Lab is in Beaufort, North Carolina. So both in the same state. The Duke Marine Lab will have a separate slide on in just a bit, but for either program, you would be applying quite early, actually, early in your sophomore year, around November. And you would be indicating, I'm making that decision early that I think I want to go to Duke or Duke Marine Lab. There is a whole application process because we have a lot of students that apply to go. We do try to balance the enrollment between the fall and the spring semesters. So we collect your preferences if you have one or the other that you would prefer to be in. We collect those preferences. Sometimes there's specific needs that we're able to take into account. But we do essentially a matching system where we will try first to match everybody with their first choice preference of either fall or spring semester. And then if that can't be matched, there might be a lottery for one semester or the other of, this number of students couldn't be matched. So we will actually do a lottery and say, of all the students that had a first choice of going in that other semester, we'll run a randomized lottery and we will assign students to that semester accordingly. And then the rest would go in the other term. What's important there is any student that does want to go to Duke University, we sort of guarantee, and along with Duke, of course, that you have that option as a guaranteed option. So if you would like to opt into Duke, we will have a seat for you. We just can't necessarily guarantee which semester you go, whether the fall or the spring, but you will have a guarantee of being able to go if that's what you choose to do. Summer term would usually then happen either before if you're attending Duke in the fall semester or after if you're attending Duke in the spring semester. That's optional, but many students do choose to do a summer term or certain specialized types of programs that can happen in those summers. At Duke University, you take a full load of Duke courses. So you are a student, a visiting student for that semester at Duke University, living with and amongst Duke students and DKU students and fully integrating into campus life there. The housing is included in that. I don't know that I would be able to tell you 3 years out from the time now that you'll be juniors. But for example, students, if you've ever been to visit Duke's campus, or I know some of you might have been on campus recently for um, IEM's kind of open day on campus. Uh, Next year, students, for example, they live right on West Campus with Duke students, Duke roommates. So right in that area of campus where it's predominantly upperclassmen at Duke University, in the same area where the chapel and kind of that Gothic architecture is. So you would be living on that side of campus as well. So why study at Duke? Some of those reasons are rather obvious. Duke is a wonderful university. It's a really dynamic, I mean, it's a really great place, bottom line. And that's part of the reason why I think it will continue to be so popular. But you get to experience, for many of you, if you're not from the United States, which most of you would not be, you get to experience what U.S. college life is like and U.S. culture and society is like. You also get that experience of integrating more with Duke as a university and also just Duke students. You take classes with them. You participate in clubs and activities, and you become a part of your alma mater. You get that experience of knowing I'm getting a degree from this university, and uh, I've spent enough time there to have a sense of, what that family is that I'm a part of. A lot of students also really focus on leveraging that towards career and grad school opportunities. If you know, for example, you might want to do grad school at Duke one day. Maybe you want to have a semester of experience on campus to get a sense of what would it be like to be in this place for graduate school, or just in the United States in general, for a graduate program. All perfectly valid reasons and wonderful parts of the experience at Duke. I also want to note the essentially a specialized campus that Duke has a few hours away from the main campus in Durham in Beaufort, North Carolina, right on the coast. And it is a focus on marine and environmental science and biology. It is kind of a mini campus. It's much smaller than Duke's main campus, of course, and there's generally only around 100 undergraduate students, Duke undergraduate students there at a time. There's also graduate researchers and faculty, and it's larger than that as a community. But if your passion, if your interest is anything related to oceans and marine environmental science and biology, Dumel is an incredible, it is such a cool place. Extraordinary opportunity if that is your niche focus. If you are outside of that focus, we've had students that have still gone and you're able to go. But really it's that site is there to leverage the opportunity of being able to take the Duke boat out on the ocean and do animal studies. They have, water animal tanks. They have drone surveillance to track whale pods. They have all kinds of incredible research opportunities that are more narrowly focused on leveraging understanding of oceans as a vital part of our Earth's climate. And so it's an incredible opportunity if that's your particular jam, and you can opt to apply to Duke Marine Lab. You would only be doing classes at the Marine Lab. But we have students every fall semester typically that attend that, and it's also a really life-changing experience. Wonderful, wonderful opportunity. So we're going to move on now to one of those other program categories, which is an exchange program. This again is the exchange with Wuhan University. Um, this program only runs in the spring semester, so February to June, because Wuhan's academic calendar is a little bit different than DKU's, and it would conflict with being able to start a spring semester normally if you were there in the fall. So spring semester only. Um, we'll talk about finances a little bit later, but essentially, any exchange program is built on the premise that you are going to that institution and they are sending a student from that institution to DKU. You are exchanging places or spots. So likewise, we have Wuhan students on campus at DKU every fall semester. You've got a really wide range of classes, both for native Chinese speakers or students with a high enough level of Chinese to take classes in Chinese. But there is also, Wuhan is a large university, large public university, roughly 30,000 students. So there's also a really deep course list that is also English taught classes. So even if you don't have a really high level of Chinese or near fluent Chinese, you could take classes there and do a whole semester at Wuhan. Wuhan is also, as I would assume you probably know by now, but within mainland China, Wuhan is one of those famous universities. Anyone in China knows Wuhan University as one of those top prestigious Chinese institutions. And as a result, it's got, that same level of really rich resources academically, student involvement, campus life. You have that Chinese experience, Chinese university experience. I'll also note that every summer, and I expect this to continue to be true, it's now been running, I think, very successfully for the past 3 or 4 summers. Wuhan runs a global summer school called the Luojia Global Summer School. And it can have different themes from year to year, but generally speaking, it's a fully funded program. It's only a few weeks. You don't really do it for the academic credit as much as the experience. But each program, there's a variety of classes and tracks that you can opt to take. You could think of this as an extra to kind of add on, kind of an experience that will be different and outside of maybe what you normally study, but you can really immerse yourself in Chinese history and culture. You will have an opportunity to make great connections with Wuhan students and faculty. And again, that is the summer program itself, usually competitively a competitive application system, but we also have DKU students that do that every summer and really love that as an opportunity. So that may be another thing to consider mixing up between a summer at Wuhan and an academic semester somewhere else. Okay, beyond that then, so we've got Duke Marine Lab, we've got Wuhan University. So DKU Global Opportunities, or what we call DKU Go programs, are essentially there are study away opportunities all over the world, both directly at other universities and also programs that exist independently of a university, but that still offer the opportunity to take classes, accredited classes for academic credit. Um, Sometimes they're paired with a university. Sometimes they're programs that are large enough to do that independently, and they might be run in partnership with a U.S. institution or school. But there are so many options. This is part of the world that I came from before arriving at DKU. So you really can do any of those programs. DKU Go specifically is really just a list of programs that we've already pre-approved and said these are really great options as programs to take a first look at. If you're looking at all of the options that exist in the world, which might seem close to infinite, even though it's not, this would be a list to start with as options that we've pre-identified as particularly robust programs that align well with DKU curriculum and that you might want to consider. A lot of these programs, you could, again, roughly, this slide is explaining you could divide them into a couple different categories. You don't need to hyper focus on that too much right now, but all saying you can look for programs that are what we call direct enroll, meaning you would be a visiting student at another university, kind of like Duke, but somewhere else in the world. And you'd be taking classes and living on that university's campus, but you would have kind of a program there to also offer you support beyond just doing it at that university. Other programs, like I mentioned, are kind of almost independent. So they might be built around a really specific academic theme. They might have very unique, tailored experiences that really allow you to go deep into one particular area. Um, Oftentimes, those are also really excellent programs at facilitating a very intense, shorter, 1 semester long experience and making sure that you really get everything you can out of it and you're not lost in this massive, university environment when you're only there for a semester, especially if it's a totally new culture for you. Wonderful options there. Just as an example, so one DKU program, I'm not going to name the provider that it's with, but it's what I love this model. It's a comparative program. So as an example, the theme for this particular one was the politics of land, water, and energy justice. And so to do that, you spend 7 weeks in Morocco, understanding the politics of climate change in Rabat and, local water systems, organic farming, um, the technology, the industry that's being developed there relative to certain aspects of environmental sustainability. And then you study the same fundamental issues, but you move to do your second 7 weeks in Peru, and you understand what are these same dynamics that are taking place on the other side of the world, on a different continent. How is that informed by the politics and the environment and the culture there? Um, so you're doing a comparison of the same global crucial issues, but in two radically different geographical locations in order to get that broader perspective of studying environments is not the same everywhere in the world. It's not going to be the same when you study it in China, but understanding those different advantages. So that would be an example of the types of options that might exist through DKU Go. And then beyond that, we have what's called DKU Go Flex. And this is essentially just a way of us saying you can really study away anywhere that you would like to in the world. And we will help you to do that, or we'll first help you to evaluate is the place that you want to go, whether it's an institution or a program, doesn't have to be on our approved list, but we'll help you make sure that that program is going to work for you academically, that it's going to be safe, that it checks our boxes for what we would consider, yeah, this is a great program and there's no problem with you going on it. It's really just walking you through a petition process of a lot of the same things and criteria that we would look at when we are approving any program. Um, and this applies, by the way, to many other, some students choose to study away through GoFlex at institutions in the United States that are not Duke. We've had students go to Columbia and Harvard and University of Pennsylvania, Hong Kong University Science and Technology, Yonsei University in Korea. So it really, it allows you to go anywhere you might want to go. Generally speaking, I don't think we face a lot of programs where students would not be able to attend that program. It's really just us giving us a structured way to help you figure out how to do that most effectively. All right, and these are some examples of go and go flex. These are actual locations. I know I said don't focus on where you want to go, but really on every continent and all around the world, there are opportunities and places that you can find really extraordinary options for enriching this academic experience that's a comparison to what you'll be experiencing at DKU in China. I'll wrap this up by I just want to outline some of the costs of study away, so that you can be thinking about that and having some of those talks with your parents as you think about coming to DKU. So for Duke and the Duke Marine Lab, um, financially, that operates essentially, that's this first column. It operates essentially as an exchange program would, where your tuition is still paid to DKU, and whatever your tuition is, whether, if you have scholarships, if you have funding from DKU, you pay the exact same tuition amount to DKU as you would for being on campus at DKU that semester. Um, Summer, I will note, that's an additional add-on cost. You don't have summer tuition at DKU, so you would pay summer tuition to Duke if you were doing a summer program there. That's generally 25 to 3,200 US dollars per course. The main difference then, you pay tuition to DKU, your program fees, which would be things like your housing, your meal plan, your insurance. There's some other miscellaneous student activities fees and things like that at Duke. Those are paid by the student, by you, directly to Duke University. And the way that works out is we would say it's about 13,500 per semester, which is a $9,000 incremental cost above what it would cost to be at DKU, because you're also paying for housing, food, personal expenses, etc., while you're at DKU. Now, that 13,500 per semester, I would say that's at the highest end of what it would typically cost a student. Many students do study at Duke for less than that. Their costs can be impacted by where they're placed for housing or your housing choices. For example, if you were to try to opt in for a single room versus living with a roommate, it can be dramatically affected by the meal plan that you choose to be on. So there are ways that that could be less, but we tend to try to prepare students to expect to pay about at most $9,000 above the cost of being at DKU for the semester. For any study away program, your personal expenses, the flight to get there, if you do any traveling on your own, if you're buying gifts for friends, of course, those would all fall into personal expenses, and those cost widely. Um, those costs vary by where you're coming from as it relates to flights and just how much you spend as an individual. DKU exchanges really do work exactly the same way. So the exchange with Wuhan University, same concept as Duke. You would pay tuition to DKU. You would pay other direct costs for rooming, food, other things like that to Wuhan University. Generally speaking, Wuhan is a lower incremental cost, so about $4,000 to $9,000 incremental cost above DKU and the semester at DKU. And then for go and go flex programs, this is where it's really maybe different from the other two models. For that particular semester, you do not pay any tuition. You do not pay anything to DKU at all. So we don't charge you tuition or room and board. Um, any tuition, any room and board, any of those costs are paid directly to the university or program that you attend. And so, generally speaking, and it really is a very wide range, but those programs can be less than DKU overall. They can be more than DKU overall. Much of that is impacted by how much financial aid you receive from DKU. So if you are receiving a lot of scholarships or you have a lot of financial aid funding from DKU, generally speaking, it'll be more challenging to find something that's cheaper than DKU because um, even though we're not charging you whatever tuition you do pay, you will need to pay those program fees and tuition directly to that program. If you have kind of a more medium or low level of financial aid from DKU, then generally speaking, it will not be that challenging to find programs that are the same cost or in some cases less expensive than DKU. It really does just depend. And that's financial considerations are something that we also will work with you closely on in terms of advising and making sure that you understand those options and the finances of them, certainly when you do choose to study away. Um, I'll also just note in closing that you can start to check out all of these things that I've referenced tonight by going to our website, the global education website, globaled.dukekunshan.edu.cn. You can look at some of the programs, Go and Go Flex. You can read, if you really wanted to, about the credit transfer process and how do you get academic credit coming back to DKU for classes you've taken elsewhere. But, at this point, I would say just focus on taking a look at some of the different programs and options that exist and envisioning the types of adventures that await you as you prepare for that part of your DKU journey. I will turn it over to my colleague Marco from there, but congratulations again, everyone. We cannot wait. I can't wait to get to meet you in person in the fall at DKU. We are so looking forward to welcoming you to this very special DKU family. And with that, I'll turn it over to Marco, although I will still be controlling his slides. So take it away,
All
Marco.
right. Well, thank you, Christopher. First off, I want to apologize. I am having a few technical difficulties, so I'm not going to be able to use my camera right now, but that's okay. I have a profile picture up. That's what I look like, and yes, I don't have any hair on me, so that's what you'll see whenever you get to campus. Now, my name is Marco Valadez. I'm the director of the Office of Undergraduate Advising, and I'm here to talk to you about what is academic advising, so you have a sense of what that's going to be. Now, definition is right on the next slide. Academic advising is a collaborative partnership between the students and the advisor to help students explore their academic, professional, and personal goals. Basically, what I want you to be thinking about whenever you get your faculty advisor is that this is your person, your go-to liaison with the university as far as your academics are concerned. Whenever you're trying to think about how you want to pursue your academic journey, what your undergraduate career is going to look like, you have a go-to person in that faculty advisor who's going to be there to help you work through these challenges, work through these opportunities to find a really unique, engaging, and hopefully exceptional academic career. Advising is what helps you get to graduation. And I know as you're looking at your first year, looking ahead to your first year, that seems like a far away thing, but it's coming a lot sooner than you think. And you need the right partners. You need the right people to support you in order to get there and to get to graduation at the time you're hoping to reach. Now, my office supports your faculty advisors, and we do a lot of advising ourselves, but going to the next slide, we do a lot of other things as well. So we are split actually into two sides of the office. The first is the academic advising side, and that's going to be where you get a lot of your academic exploration kind of stuff. So helping you figure out major exploration and selection. We do this in conjunction with what are called the major conveners. So these are faculty members there's one attached to each and every major that we have here at DKU, but my office helps support them and helps you guys explore effectively whenever you're trying to figure out what it is that you want to major in. We help with academic engagement services. So if you're having trouble, if you're having a conflict with somebody, especially if it's a student and faculty conflict, or if you need an referral to something that you're trying to get accomplished academically, we help facilitate a lot of those conversations, help point you to the right people, and get you set up in the correct way. And then we collaborate, as Dean Van Velzer had mentioned, with the Office of Global Education on advising you to get ready for study abroad, as well as you approach your third and fourth years, we collaborate with Office of Signature Work to make sure things are going well with that. And that is, I'm sure you're going to learn more about it as you go along. That is going to culminate in a single project, something that you get to create, be it an academic paper or even an artwork, a documentary, a podcast, something that you get to design based on your research. We help students either work with these offices, work with these faculty members, depending on what you need, all through academic advising. That helps you in the long run get to graduation, whereas the Academic Resource Center on the other side of the office, that is more about helping you understand how to be a successful student while you're here. For these 4 years, how do I engage with these classes effectively? Tutoring is offered for many of the classes, not all, because there's a lot of people, a lot of classes rather, but for many of the classes you're going to face as a first or maybe second year student. So a lot of the introductory classes, the basic 101s, things like that, you're going to find tutoring support hosted through our office for that. We have academic success coaching. If you find, hey, I'm having a little bit of trouble and could use some one-on-one help trying to figure out how to get past these barriers that I'm having, we can help you with that. And we have staff members, myself included, who work individually with students to identify what that academic problem might be and help you work your way through that. And then we also offer academic success programming, so different presentations or workshops, depending on what you might need, based on skill sets that you're hoping to grow in. So if that's time management, understanding how to avoid procrastination, looking for your academic motivation, those are the kind of things that we focus on in our office. So lots and lots of different things, both for you and in support of your faculty advisor to make sure that you're able to get to where you need effectively. All right, next one. Now, I mentioned that it's not just our office that's going to be doing the advising. Each and every one of you is going to be set up individually with a faculty and advisor, and that happens from really day zero. When you hit orientation, by the time you walk on the campus, you're going to be assigned to a faculty advisor, and our office is going to be doing both that assignment and helping you and your faculty advisor as you go through, even starting with orientation week. So really from the very, very beginning. We help all of you with the course enrollment, university policies, and again, academic planning, challenges, and navigating other difficulties you might run into as you're here. Advising is handled primarily through my office and the faculty advisors, but we also have a peer mentor program, and they're not fully advisors, but we do want to make sure that you have the chance to get connected with peers, so other DKU students who might be able to give you good ideas, good practices on how to be an effective and engaged student. So they give you a type of advising from the student's perspective, and that can be really beneficial to a lot of students if that's something you're looking to engage in. Now, there are a lot more of you than there are peer mentors. We only get so many of them that the university allows us to hire. So not every single student is going to want to go after getting a mentor. If you don't want to, that's okay. But know that if you do want to, whenever we put out the call asking if this is something you're interested in, you do need to apply early because there may not be enough slots for all the mentees if many people want to join it. I mentioned this earlier, we also have major conveners. These are the faculty who are really the ones who know all of the ins and outs of a specific major. So as you explore in your first really year and a half before you declare your major, these are the point people that you want to talk to see whether or not a major is the right fit for you. Now, let's go one more. A lot of people, I think, are often stressed about that first semester. And one of the things that I want to make very clear is that while I understand how incredibly stressful that can be, we tried to take a lot of the guesswork out of things for you. There's a very specific structure that your first semester is going to look like. You're going to have the opportunity to register for it during orientation week. And how that's going to work is you're going to be in a small group setting. I believe we're still calling them the home groups this year, but basically you're going to be with a group of people throughout orientation. And as you work with trying to figure out your first set of classes, that's going to be with that group as well. You'll be assigned to a group with multiple faculty members, 2 to 4 faculty from representing different disciplines around DKU, and they're going to help explain what it's like to be a student, what it's like to navigate the curriculum, what it's like to sign up for different things your first semester, and some of the basic introductory policies that you might need to know. Together, you'll come up and fill out this worksheet that I have copied here. And there's a few things that make it very easy. We know you're going to do a 2-credit writing class the first session. You'll have a list of those, and you get to pick whichever ones you might be interested in. You have to do DKU 101. That's going to be an easy fix. And you have to do a language. We know that that's coming. If you look at this worksheet, there's really only about 3 choices as far as other classes you have to do, and you can do that. I know there's going to be lots of things people are walking in expecting to do before they've looked at the curriculum or the class schedule. Once you get to this meeting, you'll have a chance to see what your options really are, and hopefully from there be able to navigate that first semester's registration really effectively. After you've had a chance to work through this worksheet with that group of faculty, you'll have a chance, if you'd like to, actually meet with your assigned faculty advisor. So if there's anything that you want to adjust, any questions you want to ask about this worksheet or about the plans you have up ahead, you'll have a chance to go through those questions, and then you'll register for these classes during your registration window, which is just what we call the time period during which you sign up for classes. All right, pretty straightforward. Again, hopefully nothing to worry about, but if there's any questions about it, we'll tackle those towards the end. Next slide. Now, there's a few points that I want to make sure that everybody remembers. First off, you are first-year students. You are allowed and actually expected to have a few missteps early on, and DKU is here to support you when you do. This might mean getting a couple grades that aren't perfect, and we can talk about what to do if that comes across or if that's your situation. That might mean picking a class, picking a discipline that you thought you'd be really, really interested in, and you find out maybe it's not for you. We can talk about how to adjust after that. All of these things are absolutely okay. It happens to every single university student, not just every DKU student, but every university student. And we're going to be here to support you and work through these things with you. Next point. Not getting a first choice class or a perfect grade your first semester is not the end of the world. It's an opportunity to explore other avenues, other classes, other things that you might want to focus on for your undergraduate career. It's so easy to fall into the trap of, I made these plans that this is the only thing that's going to work for me. The reality is just about everything you sign up for, not just about. The reality is everything you sign up for your very first semester will work for you. It will progress you toward your degree. And that's okay. Even if you don't get every class you planned for today, you will have a productive first semester that gets you one semester closer to graduation. So don't stress too much about it. We can work through whatever it is that you decide to pick. And the last point, you are not doing this on your own. One of the things that's very easy to forget when you come to a new environment, when you're transitioning into something like university, it's very easy to think that I'm doing this on my own. I have to get all of this right and it's all on me. And yes, many things are on you. We want you to be going to class. Waking up on time to get there every time is on you. But when you have questions, when you need support, when you don't understand something, you are not doing this on your own. We're here to support you. We want to make sure we're giving you every opportunity to be successful. And this is one of those things that I think really every academic support office on campus and every one of the faculty care deeply about. We want to make sure that you get what you need to be a successful student here at DKU. Next slide. One of the ways that we can do this is with many of the different support offices we have on campus. I mentioned mine because let's face it, I'm a little biased. These are the people I see every day and I know they're fantastic. But the undergraduate advising office and the ARC are only two of the many resources we have on campus. The Writing and Language Studio is absolutely excellent for helping you with your language classes, helping you prepare for any writing assignments you might have. We have the library that offers a number of different research support opportunities. There's a textbook office, there's counseling and wellness services. You cannot be great as a university student unless your mental health is something that you are mindful of. So this is a really important support office for us. Academic accessibility, if any of you are needing things like accommodations for a learning disability or for a physical injury, we can make sure that we're leveling the playing field for you, whatever it is that you might be going through. And then DKU Student Experience and the Registrar's Office are here to help with a lot of the other really more policy-based, more advanced academic issues that come up relating to the system, relating to the curriculum overall. So many, many offices, including our IT office, here to support you as you go through things. Now, we can go ahead and go to the next slide. I believe that is all we've got for the advising side. I think we need to switch topics to our next dean, which is Dean Lingling Wang. She's going to talk to you about the curriculum.
So thank you, Marco, and thank you, Christopher. I'm going to set my slides up. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm Ling Wang, the Registrar and also Dean of Academic Services here at DKU. I just want to echo what Christopher and also Marco mentioned, that we are very happy to meet all of you here virtually at this point. We want to welcome you to join the DKU class of 2029. And we very much look forward to welcoming all of you on DKU campus in the next few months in August. So I'm going to take over now to talk a little bit about the DKU curriculum. So whenever we talk about the DKU curriculum, the first thing that often comes to our mind, are the 7 animating principles. So these are the core goals we aim to achieve through the educational experience that we are going to provide to our DKU students. So as shown on this slide, these 7 animating principles are rooted globalism. As you all know, that DKU is a very diverse community. We already have students coming from around 70 different countries. So we do celebrate different cultures here. So rooted globalism is one very important principle that we want to educate our students about. We also want to achieve a purpose for life for our students, and wise leadership, lucid communication, and research and practice, collaborative problem solving, and also independence and creativity. So these principles represent the key competencies that we expect our students to develop over the course of their 4 years of study at DKU. Now let's take a look at the key features of our undergraduate curriculum. So there are 5 main elements that define the DKU undergraduate experience. So as most of you know already, that DKU offers a liberal arts education, which was also mentioned by Marco just now. Students do not declare their major until their sophomore year. So this structure encourages our students to explore in the first 2 years, and also helping our students to discover their academic interests before committing to a major. Another feature is the interdisciplinary approach of our curriculum. Our curriculum is designed to be highly interdisciplinary, both at the major and also course levels. So in today's world, many of the challenges we face cannot be solved through a single discipline. So this interdisciplinary focus equips our students with the broader perspectives and skills needed to address complex real-world problems. The next is the teaching practice system of knowing and doing. So some students may already know that at DKU, our classes are held from Monday through Thursday, and our Fridays are reserved for co-curricular activities, such as field trips led by faculty members. These field trips, they connect directly with the students' academic coursework. This ensures learning goes beyond the classroom and connects with the real-world contexts. And the next is the teaching method system. So our faculty members employ a wide range of interactive teaching methods, group projects, presentations, and sometimes they invite guest speakers to the classroom. So these not only enhance learning, but also help students build the core competencies introduced earlier, such as lucid communication, collaboration for team projects, and also leadership skills. So the last one is the cross-culture atmosphere and also global thinking support system. DKU is an international community. So this diversity brings a rich mix of perspectives into the classroom, encouraging students to think globally and engage meaningfully with different cultures. So on this slide, I'd like to highlight the core components of the undergraduate curriculum at DKU. So we describe our curriculum as a research-inflected liberal arts and a science experience. Our majors are designed with both disciplinary and interdisciplinary components, and they encompass multiple thematic divisions, including like arts and humanities, social science, natural and applied science. So what's not listed here, but equally important, is our Language and Culture Center. The Language Center offers a wide range of language courses. Marco just mentioned that during the first year and sophomore year, depending on where your language proficiency level starts with, our students will be taking between 8 to 16 credits of Chinese language courses. Once those requirements are fulfilled, students may also pursue a third language options. So let's take a closer look at the components listed here. So they would include Common Core courses. So this provide a shared intellectual foundation for all students, promoting essential skills and values. Language courses, I just mentioned. And also we have the quantitative reasoning and the distributional requirement as part of the general education requirement. Our majors include not just the interdisciplinary and the disciplinary components, but also have a key divisional foundation requirement. We also have spaces where students have the flexibility to deepen their study in a specific area, explore related fields, or simply broaden their academic horizons through the elective courses. So the signature work, which was also mentioned by Marco, this is a research experience where our students will either do research or do design projects, which is also a combination of their undergraduate study. So on this slide, you will have a more visual look of how these different components are expanded throughout your 4-year career. So the Common Core courses basically is one course in each academic year. The first course is what we call China in the World. And the second one is Global Challenges in Science, Technology, and Health. And the third one is Examined Life. So signature work basically starts from students' sophomore year, where students start working with their assigned mentor on their intended research areas. So just a few days ago, our current seniors just finished their presentation and a poster session for their signature work. So that is an occasion where students can showcase their work to the community. So now let's take a closer look at the specific majors offered at DKU. So this is not really an exhaustive list because some of the majors are currently under review by our faculty members, and they are yet to be voted for approval. So for each of these majors listed here, students can actually choose, have multiple tracks where students can choose to decide where they want to deepen their study. So on this last slide, I'd like to highlight one of the key strengths and defining feature of a DKU education. Our students' strong research capability. This actually is something we are incredibly proud of our students. It's also a major advantage our students have when they apply to graduate programs, or pursuing careers that value analytical or creative thinking. So at DKU, students have abundant opportunities to engage in research throughout their undergraduate career. In students' sophomore summertime, they can engage in summer research scholars program. So this is where we provide students with free housing and also meal subsidy to participate in research with our faculty members. So every semester, we also have quite a lot of students who join faculty members to do research, and these can be counted towards, this can be credit bearing and count towards their degree requirement. So the last part is signature work. So we do have some research grants available to support students do their capstone research experiences. So with that, I think it comes to the end of my slides.
I think that means we're close to wrapping up here. If there's any other questions, we're happy to answer them now, either live or you can pop those in the chat. Who will check our final signature works, and is there a special committee for its evaluation? I think that's something either Dean
Yeah.
Lin or Marco can answer.
Yeah. No problem. Happy to take this question. So as I just briefly mentioned that students will get a mentor assigned during their junior or sophomore year, depending on when students start, as early as the end of sophomore year, or mostly during the junior year. Students' mentor actually will guide students throughout the whole signature work process. And in the end, will also be the person who will grade their students' signature work product. I also want to remind students that we have a second reviewer in this whole process. So basically, after your mentor grade your signature work, there will be a second reviewer to double check the quality of the thesis to make sure we have a kind of like cross-check structure in place. I hope that answers your question.
And I'll also note for everybody that signature work, that's not my area, but it's one of these featured parts of DKU's curriculum where, as a student, it's a really unique opportunity to do a deep dive into a project that is substantive in scope of your choosing with a close faculty mentor. These are projects that students often really rely on and they reference with a lot of success and credibility for graduate school applications, or that give them a direct sense of, this is an example of what I am not capable of producing. And that's a very helpful thing to have, to be able to show employers, to be able to show graduate schools. It really is a very important part of our curriculum and sort of that culminating experience, one of those culminating experiences in your senior year. It's a big project, though, not to be underestimated.
Yeah, I see
To touch
another
on that last,
in the chat. So how flexible is the term signature work? Is it strictly a written thesis or could it be a research poster? So depending on the major and also the requirement, it can be a design project or a research paper. But either way, there will be some written component involved. Even though it is a design project, there will be some, writing process involved to describe the process and also to introduce your project. And then for each research paper or design projects, there will be a final presentation or poster session, which is kind of an opportunity for you to showcase your project within the DKU community.
Okay, I haven't seen any other questions come in, so I'm going to go ahead and call it at 5 minutes just shy. So everyone, please give a virtual round of applause for our presenters today. They are all up pretty late China time, so thank them all for taking time out of their busy schedule to be here with us. And we look forward to seeing you all soon and hopefully seeing you all on campus in August. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you all. Can't wait to see you in the fall. And I'm
Thank
not going to
you.
leave that as a question mark. I'm just going to say I can't wait to see you here in the fall. Best decision you'll ever make.
Look forward to welcoming all of you on the beautiful DKU campus.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Have a
all.
good day, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.